Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Pete Townsend. In each of these pictures behind these rock and roll legends is a legendary piece of gear, the Marshall Stack. The Marshall Stack amp is iconic not just for its tone but also for its look. You can stack them, creating these huge walls of powerful kick-ass sound. And for a reasonable price, I was able to get myself one of these incredible amps. Well, kind of. I got the Marshall Micro Stack. It's a tiny version of the giant famous amp. I mean, it's got Marshall there on the name. It looks just like it, weighs like 1 pound. Today's video is going to be a showdown, sound test, demo, review, comparison. So what are the mini amps I'm going to show you today? Well, obviously one is the Marshall Micro Stack. It's got volume, it's got the dirt or gain knob, and it's got tone, bass and treble control. It's fairly hollow too. The Marshall amp actually comes with this little stand. So instead of standing it upright, you can... Come on. You can lean it back. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I'm glad they put that on. So I have the Marshall double stack, but they actually make a Marshall single stack mini amp version, and it goes for $50. So I don't know why you would get that, because in Sweetwater.com for $1 more, you get the double stack. Twice the power. I also like the product descriptions for these because, if your job is to market this stuff and you work at Marshall, it's like, what the hell do you type to sell this little thing? So they wrote 1 watt of authentic Marshall tone. I love that. Next is the Danelectro HoneyTone. This is a rather small amp. The Danelectro HoneyTone actually has the same basic features as the Marshall amp I have. It actually has one less knob though. It combined the on, off, and the volume knob. So when you turn it on, that's on, and the volume just goes with that. It's also got the gain and the tone. Now the Danelectro HoneyTone, oh, we're getting serious now. It has 1.5 watts of power. So this is a little more powerful than the Marshall double stack. And for the Danelectro HoneyTone one, they say it has a eye-catching look and a leather handle for easy transport. If I'm going to bring this to my friend's house or something, I need to transport this, I'm not just going to grab it and go in the car. I'm going to grab it by this little leather handle they gave me, walk down the street. The Orange Crush Mini has this really cool look. I don't know too much about orange amps or know any famous orange amp players. This one actually weighs a little more and just feels the sturdiest. This feels the most well-built. And then you get the Orange Crush Mini, which has a total of 3 watts of power. That's right, we're getting loud tonight. Actually took me a minute to figure that out when I first got this because it doesn't say on, off, volume, or tone. It just has those weird little symbols. So if you don't know what they mean, you just kind of have to play around with it till you can figure them out. A nice practical thing about this amp is that it has a tuner on the top, so you can tune your guitar as you're going. All of these have the little headphone jacks there, so you don't have to bother people late at night. Another cool feature of the Orange Crush Mini is that it actually has this port here on the back, which you can go out of and then into a larger amp if you want this to be the main source of sound and tone on your huge wall of amps. I mean, that would be kind of funny. Imagine this giant wall of the stuff and this is just sitting there on top. And last but not least, we have the Danelectro Hodad. It's also got this cool retro look. This one actually has some cool features on it. This one has both tremolo and echo. You can use one at a time or both. So that's kind of cool. And you can even change the tremolo speed with that little twisty thing in there. Danelectro had this whole phase in their company's history when they were marketing their stuff in this real quirky way. And when you take the back battery cover off and you look in there, it says, "You are so stinking cool." If you're on the go, all of these amps take 9-volt batteries, which last for a good amount of time on all of these and make them pretty portable. Or as I like to do when you're home, I don't even leave the batteries in, you just take them out. And you plug right into the wall, so you get full power all the time. When I bought that was maybe like 8 or 10 years ago. It was fairly cheap. It was like $30. Now when I'm looking these up on Reverb, they're going for like $90. The highest one I see here is $150, which is crazy. I mean, this is a vintage piece of gear I got now. The market value for this stuff is shot right up. Even in the description, it says these are hard to find. So, cool, I guess. Enough of me blabbing. Let's get into the sound test. Let's start with the Marshall. And if you're curious about what guitar I'll be using, it is my Epiphone Casino, because this is set up pretty well, plays pretty well. Well, there you have it. That was the showdown of the 4 mini amps. Did you have a favorite? Which one sounded the best? Which one sounded the worst? Let me know in the comments. I don't know myself how they're going to compare tone-wise till I'm doing the post-production and the editing for this video, so I'm curious myself to find out. The Danelectro Hodad was the most rattly. It sounded like something was just buzzing the whole time. Even when I was trying to do the lowest gain possible, it was just buzzing, like something was off. I don't know if it was the amp itself shaking or something in there was broken. And if you're wondering why I'm holding my mic like this, it's because I actually broke the plastic on my mic stand when setting up the shot for the amps. So, you know, that's a little annoying. Gotta buy a new one of these, but hey, can't win them all. I had some fun making this though. I hope you had fun watching this video. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you very much. I appreciate it as always. Let me know what your favorite amp was, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.